question is, what are we allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av? What are we allowed to learn Erev Tisha B'Av, the day before Tisha B'Av? So let's start with the day before Tisha B'Av. The day before Tisha B'Av, which will be Monday. So everyone knows that close the books on Monday afternoon. The famous, everyone knows about that. But the truth is that the Mishnah Berurah himself says that you're allowed to learn on Monday. Monday, nothing happened yet. Tisha B'Av starts Monday night. Monday is it's a regular day, but it's right there is when it's right before the Tisha B'Av, and therefore the Mishnah Berurah brings down a minhag. There's a custom that some people don't learn real interesting and fun Torah, Gishmaka Torah, when they have the option of learning something about Avelis. If you have the option, you can learn something about mourning, about Yirmiyah. So the minhag is that Eov, yeah. So yeah, Yoav was in Navi. Right. He was a general. Who I met. He was a general. So that's the idea, that if you have an option, so Mishnah Berurah says, then if you don't mind, if you enjoy learning, like you get a inspiration out of learning Eov or Eicha, then you should learn Eicha. Then you should learn that, because it's coming up, it's the eve right before Tisha B'Av, it's already bad things were happening now, so then you shouldn't, then you should opt for that. But the Mishnah Berurah says, let's say a guy, he doesn't have any real enthusiasm when he learns about Eicha, right? Eicha, it's hard passages there. Yirmiyah is doubly hard, right? Yirmiyah and Yecheskel, it's very, very hard Navi, right? I always say that I tell a lot of people who, when their Hebrew's not so good, they don't know how to read it so good, so they're not so fluent, right? If you'd ask them to daven for the Amud, they're a little hesitant because their Hebrew's not so fluent. I tell them, read a little bit of like Tehillim, or if you really get bold, take out Yecheskel a little bit, take out Daniel. Daniel is like very hard. That's Aramaic already, but you got to read through it. It's hard passages. So therefore, some people, if they don't have that enjoyment, or they're not able to get the enthusiasm and inspiration from learning, let's say the Medrash on Eicha, the Medrash on different lamentations or Kinnos, to learn about the Kinnos, then the Mishnah Berurah says it's better that you should sit and learn the Gemara that you like to learn. You should sit and learn Chumash that you like to learn. You should take out Gemara, whatever Gemara you're doing, Gemara Gittin, and you should learn Gemara Gittin, because really you're allowed to learn on Monday. Monday afternoon, a whole Monday you're allowed to learn. It's just a custom that if you are able to learn other things, then you should opt for that. It's a better option of the two. But if your person doesn't get the enjoyment out of it, or the inspiration, then he should go to his old schedule. He should learn the Gemara, Gittin, and the Mishnah Berurah, and all the enjoyable things that he wants, because it's better to learn. It's much better. The Mishnah Berurah says people who will just go and go out for a walk, they'll say, some people think, well, I know I can't learn Gemara anymore, so we're supposed to learn different things. Okay, so I'll just close the Gemara and they go home. So that's not the ideal. That's not the idea. The whole idea is, if you're able to learn something in the morning. But if you're not able to, then it's for sure better to do your regular learning, regular Chumash, Mishnayos, or Mishnah Berurah. Now, that is for Monday. Once it comes Monday night, at Tisha B'Av. Now, Tisha B'Av, there is a Isser to learn Torah. The Gemara says it's forbidden to learn Torah. It says Asr for an Avel to learn Torah. This is the idea of an Avel. An Avel is a mourner. A mourner is not allowed to learn Torah. A mourner is not allowed to do any of the mitzvahs, and one of them being Torah. And what's the reason? Why can't a mourner? Why can't he learn Torah?
Because the idea is that you get joy from that.
Oh, very good.
Inspiration and all those good things.
Right, very good. The answer is that we say it in every Shabbos morning when we start davening. The first part of there's a chapter that we say, which is called Lamlatech Mitzvah David Hashemayim Misaprim Kvoid Kel, And in that passage we say the following words: Pekudei Hashem Yesharim Misamchei Lev. Pekudei Hashem, the commandments of Hashem are Yesharim, they're Yashar. Yashar means straight, very straight, very straight. Misamchei Lev, and they make the heart happy. And by the way, that pasuk actually is the key to understanding the whole Torah. That the whole idea of learning Torah and experiencing it and enjoying it, the joy comes from the fact that it's emes, that it's true. When you learn a piece of Torah and you finally understand what does the Gemara mean, what did Rashi mean to say, and what did Tisha mean to say, so the joy of seeing the truth is what gives you, that's what gives you joy. The joy when a person, we love truth because we have a neshama, and the neshama comes from Hashem, and Hashem, right under His throne of glory, says that we get our neshama from part of Hashem, and Hashem, His seal is emes. It says His choisam, His seal, His samay emes. Since Hashem is emes, we also love emes, and every time that we see emes, we see the truth, and we see that it makes sense, we get joy. But that's the pasuk. Pekudei Hashem Yesharim. It's very straight. The commandments of Hashem, they're straight, and Misamchei Lev, and therefore that gives you the joy. When you touch base with that joy and you finally work out what exactly is the Gemara saying, what is the pasuk, what is the Mishnah Berurah saying, that gives you the joy. This is brought down from Rav Volba. Rav Volba brings this idea down. Yeah.
Like we said before, that in Nava you wouldn't learn Torah because of the joy and inspiration it gives you. But I don't. I mean, I know that because I
truth is there is another idea of an Avel. An Avel also is pater from all mitzvahs. An Avel doesn't do any mitzvahs.
No, but that's just oning.
An oning, right? An oning. But an Avel, right? So that therefore an Avel, right? Avel, he doesn't get. He's not supposed to have the joy, and he's supposed to be instead concentrating on the morning. And therefore, it's very similar. The rules of Tisha B'Av are very similar to Avelis, to mourning, and same way that an Avel shouldn't be doing any other things, or for sure not joyous things. He should be concentrating on his mourning. So too, we don't do anything. That's why till Chatzos, till midday on Tisha B'Av, a person should not be doing any other actions besides for saying kinnis or reading some medrash or some commentary about the Churban, about the destruction, because if you do something else, that will distract your mind. That's the Chadas. You're not supposed to be distracted from the morning, because we're in such a sad day that a person who's just like he's a mourner, he doesn't want to distract himself. He doesn't want to, it's improper for a mourner to start playing a game of chess. So too, it's improper for us till midday to do any other actions which would distract us from the morning.
My second part of it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay.
So he's supposed to refrain from things of chanar, of a pleasure, but I didn't quite understand, because even somebody in Avel who says Kaddish, I mean, there is some pleasure in the saying Kaddish, and it's not because because it talks about how glorious Hashem is. It doesn't talk about, what one might think would be talked about at that time if he's showing his grief. It's not talking about his grief in the Kaddish. It's the contrary. It's talking about the glory of Hashem, and even in his regular prayers, like he's not patur from davening. Once the Levaya is done, and he participates in a joyous part.
No, so what Mr. Irving here is asking, that the question is, if a mourner is not supposed to have joy, like supposed to participate in joyous acts, so why is he able to say Kaddish? And what is the Kaddish doing? The Kaddish is like, it's an inspiration.
It is.
So the answer to that is, it's true, it's an inspiration. But the reason, what's the idea behind the Kaddish? The idea is that when the mourner says Kaddish, he is causing everyone to say Yehi Shmei Rava. He is causing everyone to say that may God's name be glorified forever and ever. And he's causing a Kiddush Hashem. He's causing a sanctification of Hashem's name. That's the idea. And the idea is that will be a merit for the deceased. So Now he enjoys that. The reason he enjoys that is because he is bringing a merit for the deceased. It's a merit for the deceased. Now it's not like he's going out to play a game or to play a chess or whatever, baseball. There, that is called a proper way of bringing out your grief and letting it be a merit. That is how you help yourself. That you say, I want to bring a merit for the deceased, right? There was a story there with Rebbe Akiva that the Mishnah Berurah brings down, that there was someone who didn't have, his son didn't know how to say Kaddish. And the deceased came back and told Rebbe Akiva, I want someone to say Kaddish for me, because I can't get my proper resting place. And that idea is that to cause the sanctification for Hashem, to cause everyone to say Yehi Shmei Rabbah, is a big merit. And therefore that is the idea behind Kaddish. So it's not like a physical pleasure. The physical pleasure, we wouldn't tell an Avel who's in the 7 days of mourning to do such a thing. Specifically, we're dealing with the 7 days of mourning. That it's improper for him to do a physical, joyous activity, going swimming. We wouldn't tell him to go.
No, just relating to learning Torah and saying Kaddish. I understand what you're saying about Yehi Shmei.
Yeah.
Now,
the learning Torah, right now, the learning Torah brings joy. It's an act which pumps you with joy, right? There's many ways that people get joy nowadays, and there are many pills that people take. But when a person learns Torah and he understands the Torah, then he gets filled with joy, right? That's what the pasuk says and the Gemara says. He gets filled with joy. You'll take out a Mishnah, you'll learn a Mishnah, and could be any Mishnah, could be any pasuk, and you work in Rashi, just a pasuk in Rashi, and you work till you understand what exactly is Rashi saying. How does it fit back in the pasuk? And as you see how it figures and it goes straight in, fits like a glove, you're filled with the joy. That's Pekudei Hashem Mishara Mesam Chelev. So therefore, on Tisha B'Av, we don't learn any Torah. Now, the question is, I want to put a question here on the table. What about things, let's say, which are bad? So now, let's say something which, like we spoke about, Eicha. What about learning about Eicha? Eicha, or learning about the Medrash, or if you even get something like Reb Jonathan, what would you say with Gemara Gittin? The Gemara Gittin speaks about the Chorban. Are you allowed to learn a Gemara and Gittin? Gemara and Gittin that goes through all the ideas with the whole Roman emperor and Reb Yochanan, and he whole thing with his he caved to him, and a lot of bad things that happened to the Jews. Are you allowed to learn such a Gemara on Tisha B'Av? What about a Gemara? Gemara in Mayid Katan. You're allowed to learn a Gemara in Mayid Katan that speaks about mourning. So the answer is, Jonathan, Psak, you're allowed. The Gemara is beautiful. It's yashar, straight, brings simcha. Torah brings simcha, right? Let's say you open up a pasuk. Yirmiyah. Yirmiyah is also Torah, right? You can't learn pasuk in Yirmiyah if you don't say the blessings for Birchas Torah before you. It's all Torah. It's all beautiful. So how are we able to learn these things on Tisha B'Av? These things also give us joy, right? You can't even any pasuk. You say even a phrase that the Gemara says, you have to say Birchas Torah, because it's all beautiful, it's all Torah. Every word of the Gemara is Torah. Every word, for sure, in Yirmiyah and Eicha is Torah. So how are we able to learn that on Tisha B'Av? Doesn't that also give us joy?
There's passages that speak of destruction.
Right.
Of the temple.
Right. So let me ask you, when you read that passage, Eicha, right, start the first pasuk, Eicha Yashva Vadod. Right? Woe is to, right, woe that she sits alone. Now, is that Torah? Do you have to say Birchas Torah before you say that? You do. That's Torah. And there's probably Medrashim, and there's a lot of insights, and there's Rashi on it. So that's Torah. So that's straight, it's Yashar, and it gives us the joy. So how can we learn that on Tisha B'Av? Why is that allowed? So, being there with Jonathan is maskim, he agrees to this question, that means it's a good question.
Specific to the whole.
No arguments back. So it's a solid question. This is a solid question.
It's very specific to the day itself. It's specific to the day itself. I mean.
Okay. Yeah. Right. It is
the most.
Because learning, you also have to feel.
It is on the day itself. That's true. But the Gemara says the reason why Rashi says the Gemara the reason why you can't learn different things is because Pikudei Hashem Yisharim V'Sam Chelev, because it gives us joy. So
the rest of the year, no one's going to want to learn that, but on that specific day, that helps us remember the day and what happened, so we can have the proper feelings of the day, and we can't get that without reading.
It's true. Good. I agree with you. It's true. It brings out the feelings of the day. As I was saying, it brings out the feelings of the day. But I want to know. Good. It is in the proper spirit of the day.
But it's still Torah.
But the question is.
How could you have a day without learning?
That's from a Muslim standpoint. How could you have a day without learning Torah?
Say Berachas Torah, what are you going to say that? Got nothing to do.
No, for the Berachas Torah, that's another question. Berachas Torah. But what Rebbe is saying here is, I want to ask you the following idea: that when the Gemara says that an Oval cannot learn Torah, so Rashi says the reason he can't learn Torah is because it gives you joy. So I agree with you, it is the spirit of the day, but how do you reconcile the joy part? How do you reconcile the joy?
So maybe given the day, just like an oval, an oval is upset, because he's lost a loved one, a close loved one, and we're upset as well. So maybe the idea that it would give us joy isn't as possible in a sense, because if you're truly living that day, or just like a novel is going through what novel's going through, you're not going to feel.
If you remind someone that they had a loved one.
So you want to say the joy won't come out?
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about it.
Also,
really.
You have to understand the whole point of time is you should be able to affect a tikkun. You can't, it's action. What you didn't learn, you got to fix. So the whole point of time is you have to go through. You have to feel. That's why we read Eicha. You have to have the knowledge to be able to grasp what is broken in order to fix
it. So that's Ezra's answer. That you and Ezra are on the same page.
Feeling.
You have to understand the ideas of the fast in order to atone a achievement of understanding what the fast is all about.
If a fellow lost his wife years back, and then you were to tell him, remind him, remember what happened to you, then he would feel sad immediately. If we remind ourselves about what happened to Beis Hamikdash by reading, it's the same thing.
When you lose someone through a velus, so you feel sadness because it's an emotional thing. But this, you're not going through a velus over something immediately close to your relative or whatever that you lost. It's something that happened a long time ago that you have to learn over, and you have to bring on the simanim of a velus and the limud to know what it is you have to fix up.
And what about the joy? But I'm agreeing with you. But what about Pikudei Hashem Yisharim? What about
it hurts. I mean, pain can be joyful. I don't know.
Do you think it's both?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what the Aruch HaShulchan says. The Aruch HaShulchan, he lived 200 years ago. He says an interesting idea that although you're right, on regular Torah, learning a Gemara, Gittin, right? What are you learning now? Mishnayos, any Mishnayos Para. We did Mishnayos Para, right? Learning Mishnayos Para is not allowed on Tisha B'Av, because there the joy comes out. Pikudei Hashem Yisharim, V'Sam Chelev, it brings the joy. But he wants to say that when you learn these things which are called Devarim Hara'im, bad, evil, misfortunes that happen to the Jews, here, the misfortune itself causes me sorrow. So he says that cancels the joy, it offsets the joy that you get from the learning the Torah. It means there's a joy that comes up and there's a sorrow and pain that comes up, and then it comes up, it offsets, and you're left neutral at the end of the day. So therefore that's what he says, that's why you're allowed to learn these things, a medrash of Eicha or Yirmiyah, because it offsets it. But for Gittin, Masechtas Gittin, or any other Gemara, that you're not allowed, because there, that would be just pure joy coming up. Now the next question is, what about learning something new? Are you allowed to open up a new Gemara, which you didn't learn yet? right? Let's say pick a Gemara, right, wherever you're holding, and you're up to, let's say, a new Mishnah. Now, if anyone ever tried learn a new Mishnah and a new Gemara, it's very hard. It's very hard to open up a new Mishnah, a new Gemara. So there's an argument in the Gemara, Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda. Are you allowed to learn something new on Tisha B'Av? Or for an Avel?
Because it's difficult, it won't give you that much pleasure, that's what they're saying?
Right. It is very, very hard to learn anything new. Because the first time you learn it, you're just getting used to the ideas. You're like what they say, when you meet someone, you say Shalom Aleichem. Say how you doing, what's your name, and what's my name, exchange the greetings. But as you meet him again, you get to know him a little better. That's how it is with the Gemara, and a Mishnah, and a Pasuk. You read it once, okay, you see the format. Second time, you know it a little better. Third time, but on the first time, it's very hard. It's pain. It's a pain of, you don't understand. You don't know if you're coming or going. You don't know any of these ideas. The first time is pure effort and a little pain. It's pain till it becomes clear. It's pain. So Reb Meir says you're allowed to learn something new on Tisha B'Av. Reb Yehuda argues. Reb Yehuda says no, you're not allowed to learn something new on Tisha B'Av. Reb Yehuda says aser, and we paskin like Reb Yehuda. We paskin like Reb Yehuda that you're not allowed. But let's just go and understand this. So what is the argument here? Why does Reb Meir say you're allowed to learn, and why does Reb Yehuda say you're not allowed to learn? So we understand Reb Meir. Right? We understand why Reb Meir says that you're allowed to learn something new. The reason why you're allowed is because it's very hard. You're not going to get any joy out of it. Pekudei Hashem Nisharim, Misamchei Leiv means that when you enjoy it.
But in essence, isn't that really only applying to the Gemara, which is like in the Mishnah, it's more difficult, but if you learn something new that's of a more simplistic subject matter regarding the Torah, that
depends what it is.
But I mean, if you're on a more simplistic level, that could...
Depends what it is.
I understand that,
If it's a pasuk in Chumash, so if it's a pasuk in Chumash, let's say it would be a pasuk in Hazinu. If it's a pasuk in Hazinu, which is a harder pasuk, which you would have no idea what it's talking about, right? And it's talking about, different parts that you don't understand. Different ideas which you never really looked at before. That would be okay. That would be okay also. But let's say you open up a Chumash to where you're up to, let's say your middle Parshas Toldos, and then you read, you haven't learned it before, but you're able to figure out on the spot. Then I would agree that you can't learn it. You can't open up and say, okay, Hakol Kol Yaakov Ha'edayim B'dei Esav. Everyone knows, okay, I can figure that out on the spot. That would be usher. You're right. That would be forbidden. The only time Reb Meir allows you is for like a new thing which is hard to break into. You got to break into it. Torah learning, there's no shortcuts. You can't just read it on the computer and get it. You have to read it over 4 times. First time you're just saying Shalom Aleichem, just reading. The second time you can put in some periods and commas and see exactly how to divide up the punctuation. The third time you're getting a little bit of an idea. Fourth time you're now getting more of an idea of the question, right? What's the shakal v'taya? What's the issue of the Gemara or a Mishnah or a pasuk? And then once you get past 4 times, now you could already say, now I'm into it. Now I get the joy. But till there's no joy of understanding how straight and the emes to understand the truth. So therefore, Reb Meir says you're allowed to learn a new Gemara on Tisha B'Av. But Reb Yehuda argues, and we rule like Reb Yehuda. So what does Reb Yehuda hold?
We thirst for new knowledge. That's what we thirst for. We desire. That's what we want the most.
Right, but what's the joy? You're not going to have joy.
The joy is to be able to open, to tend to the first page.
There is a joy. There is a joy of opening the new Gemara the first time and coming to learn and starting a new Gemara and a new Mishnah. There's always people, they always skip into the next Mishnah, skip the next. Because there's a new joy of a new Mishnah, a new Gemara. But 5 seconds after he starts that new Mishnah, Mishnah, he's stuck. With the Pekudi Hashem, he has the enthusiasm of coming to a new thing. Something new is exciting. But what about the joy of the Pekudi Hashem Misharim, the Sam Chelev? He doesn't get that because you got to learn that 4 times.
He knows by opening it and starting it, like 2 months down the road, it's going to be what he started breaking his teeth over is going to come to a completion and end up in joy. And as part of his pain is to receive the joy later.
But when's the joy?
The fact that he knows down the road he's going to Mikala, and he's going to understand it.
So it's an interesting idea what Irving is saying. The Taz says such an idea. Irving, go tell your wife tonight.
I quoted from the Taz.
That the Taz, you were mechaven to the Taz. You are online with the Taz. The Taz said such an idea that being that when you learn a little bit and it's going to end up that you're going to get the answer, and you have to start now, but you're going to get to the answer maybe after Tisha B'Av. You're going to work it a whole Tisha B'Av. You do it 3 times, and then after they finish Tisha B'Av, then you learn 1 more time, and then you got it. So
you couldn't have got there without the beginning.
So therefore the joy, there is an element of joy which is from the beginning. And that whole action of learning this Gemara, you judge it after the end. And you have joy, there is a joy in the beginning also. This is what the Taz wants to say, such an idea. And the Taz brings the proof. The proof is, because he wants to say, they used to have a certain type of mask, like a certain types of, I don't know, cream that the ladies would put on their face. And it was a painful type of cream. Type of maybe to smooth out the skin. So they would put it on, but it would be painful. But when it came off, then it was enjoyable, and then the skin was smooth, so they enjoyed it after. So the question is, are you allowed to put on such a cream on Chol HaMoed? Chol HaMoed, you're not supposed to do something painful. So could you put on such a cream where as it's on, it's painful? But when you take it off, then it's enjoyable. So there's the same Reb Yehuda there, says that you're allowed to put it on because we go after the ending. After the ending is the joy as he takes it off and he enjoys having a smooth skin, so therefore you go after the ending. Therefore the Taz says your idea, that so too here, the learning it, the 3-4 times learning it, we project that towards the end and we see the happiness in the end, and therefore that gives the whole action, there's an element of joy even in the beginning. That's what the Taz says, like what you're saying. Interesting idea. Very good. You get double dessert tonight. But
I want meat. I want steak.
You gotta stay a little more. This is just one chiddush, one novel idea. You gotta learn like a whole masechta, and then we could do meat. But
perhaps another idea also that when you move on to something new, it means because you feel you completed something that you did before, in that sense of being ready to move on, means that you have a sense of satisfaction of, I did, I finished, whereas when you have to go back and do it again, sort of maybe I didn't get it all yet, maybe I'm going to do more, and you got to keep going, but when you're ready to move on, it's like, so that moment of being able to do that, you get a certain hana from having finished something and moving to something new.
But that enjoyment could be in anything, right? That doesn't have to do with the Torah per se. That could be an enjoyment of learning a few chapters in a science book. Here we're talking about the joy of getting a pshat, from understanding a line in a Mishnah, understanding a pasuk in the Torah. And therefore, I want to suggest another answer, which, in addition to Irving's, another answer why we hold you're not allowed to learn even something new. We hold, that's how we paskin. We hold like Reb Yehuda. You can't even learn something new on Tisha B'Av. You can't crack open a Gemara Beya and say, okay, I'm going to learn a new Gemara today, even though it's so hard. I'm not going to get any enjoyment because it's new, right? You ever try to learn a new Gemara? It's like breaking your head the first 4 times. Can you learn that on Tisha B'Av? Says the Mishnah Berurah, you're not allowed. And the reason is because although you're breaking your head, well, you never know. You might come across a new idea. It might kick in. Oh, that's the reason. you might do it 1 or 2 times, and then you'll hit upon the answer. You'll hit upon even a little question or a little inference, and therefore that's another idea what Rabbi Yehuda holds, and that's how we hold. We hold you never know. It's hard for even someone learns something, and it's hard for you to hold back from saying a good shot. You see Rashi, you get Rashi. Sometimes you get it, even before 4 times. Therefore, that's why we say you shouldn't even learn even something new. So therefore, we restrict it only to learning something which is about the Korban, about the Beis HaMikdash, or about mourning, about Avelos, like this idea, all the dinim of what a Avel is supposed to do, how he's supposed to act. Right, and part of this idea is not to how an Avel talks. He doesn't greet people, right? He's not supposed to respond to greeting. That's how on Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, the rule is you're not supposed to say hello. You're not supposed to greet someone like that. If someone does greet you, you could nod your head, but the idea is the same thing like an Avel, not to be. You're supposed to be silent. That silence is the same silence which we learn out about Torah, that there should be a silence in Torah. So that's the idea here that comes out from these parts. Now, there is this question here about, is there a mitzvah of learning in the first place on the whole day of Tisha B'Av? That's a whole big question here, that maybe the Rabbanan, maybe they took away the mitzvah. Every day there's a mitzvah to learn. Like you said, every day it says, V'hagisa, you should toil, Yaimam V'layla. Every day you're supposed to learn. So the question is there a mitzvah to learn Torah? Is there a mitzvah? Or maybe the rabbis took away the mitzvah of learning Torah on Tisha B'Av. Why did they take it? Well,
we don't forego saying Shema.
Right.
So it can't be what you're bringing.
So the truth is, you're now again machaven to the Ritva. The Ritva says what you're saying.
I'm going to check my DNA. Maybe I'm related.
No, before it was the Taz. How much DNA do you got in there?
If I'm related to anybody, it's okay.
No, so you're taking the Ritva. So let me just say the question out. So the question here is, did the rabbis say that you have to concentrate on mourning on Tisha B'Av? You have to concentrate, what are we mourning for? What is the whole Beis HaMikdash about? What did we lose? And the way to do that is you have to concentrate on mourning. And therefore the rabbis took away the mitzvah of learning Torah. That is a question here which you have to think about. Maybe they took away the mitzvah of learning Torah so you can concentrate on mourning. So Irving says here, which the Ritva says, that he says, no, they didn't take it away, but
you trust them, because the feeling we do at Mincha.
Right. What they did is they said there's a regular mitzvah of learning Torah, but there's a minimum. What's the minimum that you have to learn? If you say Kriya Shema in the morning and Kriya Shema by night, you get a mitzvah of Torah. And the proof is, let's say a guy's working and he has to make money. He's in debt. He has to make a certain amount of money by the end of the week. So what does he do? He has to learn Torah every day. He has to learn day and night. So the answer, yeah.
No, please continue. The answer.
Day and night. You have to learn day and night. So how do you reconcile it? Yeah, but he has to work. He has a debt, and the guy is going to come to him at the end of the week. The answer is, so you have to make sure that you learn at least a little bit. And you could be Yotze, you could fulfill your obligation by saying Kriya Shema in the morning and Kriya Shema at night.
Very interesting, because I want to mention halakha. It says that for some reason you didn't get Sefer Torah, whatever, it didn't work out. I have a rabbi, the bracha, I have a rabbi, you can have the intention and understanding you pray for your gracious Torah. But it says immediately after davening, you have to learn something. What do you mean? You just said you're Yotze about Kriya Shema.
That's a good question. We would have to attack this whole idea at a separate shir, but the idea he's saying is good. But the Gemara says this, that a worker who has to work, he says Kriya Shema in the morning, Kriya Shema at night. Now, the answer to Jonathan's question could be that maybe the Torah is not learning it just to do the mitzvah of learning Torah. There could be you're saying Kriya Shema not because I want to do the mitzvah of learning Torah, but because part of my mitzvah of to say tefillah, to say Kriya Shema. There's a separate mitzvah, say Kriya Shema. So you would have to go into that specially, because that's a good point there. But based on that, one idea, like Irving is saying, is that there is a mitzvah of learning Torah, but you get your mitzvah by saying Kriya Shema. That's one idea. And the Rabbanan didn't take away your mitzvah of learning Torah. On the other side, you could say no. That they also didn't take away the mitzvah of learning Torah, but you get your mitzvah of learning Torah by learning Eicha and by learning Medrash about Yirmiyah. That is another way that you could get your mitzvah of learning Torah. So there's two ways how you get it, and there still is a mitzvah, and one shouldn't waste his time and say, well, I don't have a mitzvah of learning on Tisha B'Av, so I could do anything. No, you have to either learn Avelos, Ma'id Katan, Gemara, Ma'id Katan, Gemara, or anything that deals with Eicha or the misfortunes of the Beis HaMikdash.